Good morning. We'll go ahead and get started. More than 1.1 million Iowans are now fully vaccinated against COVID-19, protecting themselves from the impact of the virus and helping our state recover and again return to normal. 86% of the doses received in Iowa have been administered, and that ranks us fifth in the nation. More than 46% of those eligible for a vaccine are fully vaccinated, ranking Iowa 13th among states nationwide, and more than 57% of those eligible have had at least one dose, so that's 18 years and up. For those who have received their first of the two-dose vaccine series, the uptake of second doses among Iowans is encouraging. As of May 2nd, approximately 66,500 Iowans had received their first dose and are now, of course, eligible for their second dose but haven't received it yet. But nearly 41% of those individuals are less than 1 week past due. So I think the message that we want to relay here is that even if you're overdue for your second dose, don't worry about that. It's really more important that you get it late than not get it at all. So we just want to remind people that if you've had one dose, that it's really important that you get back there and get your second dose. And we're trying to make it as easy as we can. All you need to do is bring your vaccine card to a pharmacy near you, or call your healthcare provider to get your second dose as soon as you're able. According to the CDC, the latest 7-day average of new doses administered nationally is 2.2 million a day. That's down 32% from its peak of more than 3.2 million on April 11th. Demand for vaccine in Iowa and nationwide is waning. According to some national news reports, nearly half of the states across the country declined some of or all of their vaccine allocation last week. In Iowa, 110 doses were offered to counties last week, including nearly 22,000 doses that had been turned down the previous week. Of that total, more than 75,000 doses were declined. 54 counties declined their entire allocation. 34 declined a portion of their doses, and 11 counties accepted the full amount. Iowa now has nearly 79,000 vaccine doses that are banked with the CDC. A week ago, we were informed that those doses could be drawn down as needed and future allocation or transferred to pharmacies that are participating in the federal retail pharmacy program, and we were assured that they remained available for our state's use. Yesterday, however, the White House changed this approach, announcing that it would redirect vaccine doses not ordered by some states to a new federal vaccine bank, and this would make them available to states where demand is higher. So states can now request up to an additional 50% of their total weekly allocation. And so while the change was significant and it was a sudden shift, it's a sensible one. As I've said from the start, vaccines should not be sitting in storage, which is why we have been committed to making vaccination as convenient as possible for Iowans. We've done that through the 211 Vaccine Navigator, which that service is now available to any Iowan who needs help getting an appointment. We've continued to conduct focused outreach to community organizations and churches serving minority populations, which has helped ensure vaccine access and equity. We're moving from mass vaccination clinics serving thousands to more targeted clinics designed to reach smaller, more specific groups, which allows us to better serve communities. And next week, a new vaccine awareness campaign will begin running statewide on TV, radio, and online in both English and Spanish. And to make vaccination easier and, again, more accessible and part of our everyday lives, the state and local public health departments are working with vaccine providers, organizations. They're working with event sponsors across the state to continue to do what they can to host pop-up clinics where Iowans will be gathering this summer. So one of the first opened yesterday at opening day of the Iowa Cubs game. We had the Hy-Vee Healthy U bus is parked outside Gate A at Principal Park, and it is ready to vaccinate fans during the first two home stands of the season. So here with me today is iCubs Assistant General Manager, Randy Weyhofer, who to share why being part of this effort is important to the organization and the team. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Randy.
Thank you so much, Governor Reynolds. It's my pleasure to participate today, and we are so very excited to have opened the season at Principal Park yesterday and play our first AAA baseball game in over 600 days after missing all of the 2020 season. What we've always thought we've done best at Principal Park is bring people together for joy and celebration and baseball and fireworks and all the fun things that happen, and it's obviously exactly the opposite of what we needed to do for controlling COVID-19. But with all the steps we're taking in the right direction, we're so pleased to try to be part of the solution and partnering with your office and with Hy-Vee to provide this for our fans coming to the game. We want to fill the stadium again. Last night we had nearly a sellout of our limited capacity that we had for May and rules by Major League Baseball creating buffer zones and pod seating. But we want to get back to those big Friday night fireworks and 4th of July's and all those things and the joy and the memories that those create. And the best way to do that is to get people vaccinated and get our fans vaccinated. So by having that Hy-Vee truck in the parking lot yesterday and through the first 2 homestands, we're making it easy when you're coming to the game to also stop and get your shot. You have a choice of Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson, so there's an opportunity to have some say in the vaccine that you'll be getting. It was really fun to watch people come out of the truck yesterday and sit on the benches that we have around Gate A, and some were moving their arm around like they were getting ready to get into the game and pitch a little bit, but making sure that their arm felt good to come into the game and be part of the fun. So we really encourage folks that are coming out to the game for these first couple of weeks to take advantage of this opportunity. It's right there in front of the stadium. It's quick, it's convenient, it's easy, it's right there. And this is the way that we're going to be able to share all the fun and all the memories and all the opportunities and what Major League Baseball is looking for from our communities to lift some of their restrictions to get to those vaccination rates. So we are super excited to provide this opportunity. We are so thankful to Hy-Vee for their partnership in this and thankful to the fans that participated last night. And I know some of them have said they'd come back today, that they wanted to make sure they got through the opener, but they'd be back tomorrow to get their shot. So we'll be here, and we look forward to being here this summer. And we hope to have as many of you come join us at the ballpark this summer as possible by getting your vaccine and being part of the solution to our COVID-19 problem. So thank you again, Governor Reynolds, for the opportunity to join you today and for your support of this program, because we're intent on being part of that too.
Well, thank you, Randy. Go Cubs, right? I want to thank the iCubs for your willingness to offer the vaccine at every game during the first 2 homesteads of the season. You know, it is a wonderful opportunity to connect with Iowans and make progress, make the process quick and easy, and I want to wish you and the team the best of luck for a great season. So again, heartfelt thanks to you being a part of the solution. So this is something that so many Iowans have been, because it's something that so many Iowans have been looking forward to. So and for those that are planning to head to the farmers market in downtown Des Moines on Saturday, you'll also find a Hy-Vee pop-up vaccine clinic on Court Avenue near 5th Street. So if you've been thinking about getting vaccinated and haven't gotten it done yet, stop by and get it taken care of. Or if you want to talk to someone about questions you may have, they'll be there and available for that. Or if that day doesn't work, you can also schedule an appointment for when it works best for you and in your schedule to get a vaccine. For other organizations that are interested in hosting a pop-up vaccine clinic at an upcoming event, we would encourage you to contact your local public health department to help with logistics and administration. And coming soon, a schedule of pop-up clinics will be featured on vaccinateiowa.gov so that Iowans can see where and when vaccines will be available at events that they are planning to attend. So as you've recently seen reported, Iowa did decline $95 million in federal funding that was allocated specifically to conduct surveillance testing in K-12 schools. The funding was part of a national effort to encourage schools to reopen for in-person learning. And as you know, the majority of Iowa schools have been safely and successfully open for the entire school year and with only a few weeks left in this school year. We've proven that it's possible to be in the classroom safely and responsibly, and with proper mitigation efforts, we haven't experienced the large-scale outbreaks that school districts across across the country remain fearful of. Even when the Iowa City schools recently experienced an outbreak among students, they declined testing support when it was offered because there were already enough testing resources available within the community to serve the students and the families who wanted it. So to date, no Iowa schools have claimed expenses for testing supplies or services, and more than $290 million from previously allocated funding still remains available for that use should the need arise. So we have plenty of opportunity and options that are available. For the past couple of weeks, as we wrap up here, for the past couple of weeks, I've been meeting with leadership and members of both the House and the Senate. I have laid out a compromise plan that helps wrap up the session, and it takes some of the best aspects of a number of bills, and it delivers $400 million in tax cuts for Iowans. From repealing the inheritance tax to expanding child care and housing to creating sustainable funding for mental health services and eliminating a $100 million property tax levy. Iowa has the 12th highest property taxes in the nation, and we're the only state that levies them statewide to pay for mental health services. And it's time that we changed that, and that's actually something that I was working on with the Invest in Iowa last year and something we've been talking about for a long time. The compromise proposal that I have presented would remove the mental health levy, thus cutting property taxes statewide by $100 million and paying for mental health services from the state's general fund as we do with other services. This would ensure sustainable funding and create incentives for better care through performance-based contracts. We'll establish guardrails for regional expenditures and equity of services, ensuring statewide outcomes. The compromise also includes parity payment for mental health services so that Iowans can access the care that they need regardless of where they live. Our proposal is effective, sustainable, and affordable for Iowa taxpayers, Iowa cities, and Iowa counties. This jobs and tax cut proposal includes a comprehensive approach to addressing Iowa's housing needs, which is key, as you all know, to rapid economic recovery and transformational growth for families and communities alike. Through workforce housing tax credits, loan guarantee programs, brownfield, grayfield extensions, and much more, communities can offer affordable housing options that attracts workers and helps boost the economies. It also kickstarts our collective effort to address the child care crisis in Iowa. And that is a priority that's shared by Iowa House. It's shared by both chambers, from expanding eligibility for the Child Independent Care Program to incentivizing businesses to provide on-site daycare. The Child Care Task Force that I launched in March will help us build on those efforts through strategic federal funding awards this year, and then we can take a look at what maybe additional potential legislation would look like next year. But we have significant federal dollars that are coming in that can help us really launch some of these different programs. Projections show that even with modest revenue growth and the implementation of this tax relief compromise, Iowa will still be in a strong fiscal position with our cash reserves full and robust ending balances. And local governments in Iowa, both cities and counties, are set to receive nearly $1.2 billion in federal ARP funding. All of this will ensure our readiness to overcome unforeseen circumstances, just as we've successfully done throughout the pandemic. In fact, just yesterday, WalletHub identified Iowa's recovery from COVID-19 as one of the fastest in the nation, ranking second among all states and the District of Columbia across 22 key metrics. Iowa has never been in a better position to take tax burdens off the backs of Iowans and invest state revenue to sustain critical and important services. So now is the time to come together and take action, and that's exactly what I'm asking the House and the Senate to do in the remaining days of the legislative session. And with that, we'll go ahead and take your questions.
In
Governor,
regards
does
to
the
the
state
mental
have any
health,
I'll go to Kay, and then we'll go back.
in regards to the mental health decision,
Yep.
the House Republicans have said we need guardrails. What
Yep.
guardrails are you proposing, and why didn't you propose this in January during your condition of the state and make it a priority back then?
Well, it's always been a priority. As I said in my comments, Kay, it was a priority last year with Invest in Iowa, and it was suspended because of COVID-19. And so we've continued to take a look at that and to take a look at what was possible. We've worked on it through the legislative session. At the beginning of the session, I talked to legislators. They wanted to know if I was going to move forward with Invest in Iowa. At that point, we didn't think that that was the mechanism to do that because it increases the sales tax, but it was an overall tax reduction. And so we've been looking at other ways that we could really accomplish what we believe that we needed to do. And when you take a look at what just has always been the goal, to get mental health services off of property taxes. So when you take a look at that, coupling it with the phase out of the backfill, in addition to the ARP dollars that are coming into the state, we think that this is the right time to really make sure that we have a sustainable system for the mental health services that we provide to Iowans across the state. We do this, the Department of Public Health, and they do the performance-based contracts. So that's a way that we'll provide some of those guardrails. It will set out what the expectations are, what the outcomes are that we're trying to achieve. And then there'll be a remediation component of that. We do that with the managed care providers. You know, if they're not meeting certain benchmarks or certain expectations, then we can withhold funding. But there'll be opportunities, you know, different phases that we can work with the regions to get them to where to meet those benchmarks, and then there will be other options that we can apply if we have to and they're not able to do that. It actually brings equity to the services. It allows us to compare apples to apples so that we can really, you know, get that equity, and then that will help through the data. Drive decisions moving forward. What are core services? What core plus services should we be taking a look at? How do we, since we've accomplished this area, what's another area that we should be looking at and potentially funding? So it'll help all of those decisions. In addition to that, it has an automatic growth factor in it, and that's something that we have always tried to figure out a way that we could do that. And now that we've had a couple of years to see what kind of tax revenues are coming in, so any increase in tax revenues will go, a percentage of that will go for the system, and then a portion of that, Kay, will go towards an incentive fund. So again, as regions look for opportunity to coordinate and to work together and to enhance the services, maybe it's another access center in an area that doesn't have one yet. So they would make a proposal, come together, present it to the incentive fund board, and say, this is how, you know, this is the dollars we brought coming from the private sector, here's what we can do as a region, and here's the additional that we would believe that we need to help us launch it and sustain it going forward. So, you know, those discussions have continued to take place, and we think we've landed in a really good spot, and I'm excited to move forward with it.
Governor, does the state have any specific targeted information about why people don't want to get the vaccine? And if you had that, or if you could use it, would that help you target the people and like the number 1 or 2 reasons that they're not getting it?
So I don't think we have any yet, right? Yeah, that's right. So we don't currently have any type, or we're actually working on that. What is the reason? I think honestly a lot of it is just the mixed messaging that's happening. Do you wear a mask outdoors? Do you not wear a mask outdoors? If you get a vaccine after you've met your criteria, the time frame, you know, can we remove the mask? I think Iowans, for the population that's left, a lot of them, you know, they want to return back to normal, but there has to be some incentives for getting the vaccine to actually make that happen. But we are in the process of trying to identify what that looks like. And again, as we're doing PSAs and as we're doing just educational roundtables and working with communities and events, that will help us really drive the messaging that we need to be driving. So we're going to just continue to be everywhere that we can. And that actually could help some of, we're gaining intel as we're doing that. As we're talking to people, we might be able to pick up where some of the hesitancy still resides. So we're going to continue to gather data. We're going to continue to look for creative ways that we can be everywhere in Iowa where Iowans are gathering to help encourage people to get vaccinated. I thought yesterday they actually did have people participate at the ballpark and got vaccines. That's really positive. You heard him say that, Randy say that more, if they're going to be back today and they'll get the vaccine then. So again, we'll just continue to work on those details and continue to gather data and adjust the messaging as necessary.
Governor, recently the White House suggested a 70% vaccination rate. Is Iowa on pace to reach that goal by the 4th of July?
Well, what did I say? We're at 57% right now. So, we've done some internal benchmarks that we've kind of put in place, and we're just going to continue, like I just said, everything that I just mentioned. We're going to continue to do the outreach and educate and inform, and we're going to launch a radio, television ad in multiple languages. So we're going to continue to move it. And then we'll continue to evaluate where we're at. I'm hoping that we can. We're doing pretty well. As I said last week, I think, when you compare it to the percentage of Iowans that get flu vaccines is about 40%. And so our numbers are looking pretty good. We just want to continue to drive that. So we'll see.
Governor, your proposal to restrict transgender athletes and participation in school sports, it sounds like this is a real priority of yours. Why didn't you raise this issue earlier in this session, and why have you committed to signing the bill without actually having a version of it on your desk?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. Do we have women's and girls' sports or not? So I believe that. And it is something that, it's not something I talked about in the condition of the state, but as we saw this continue to happen, I have had conversations with the leadership. We've looked at various languages. We want to make sure that, we try to get it right. And we're actually taking into account where we believe that we have the authority to do that. And so this has been an ongoing conversation I've had with leadership. And so when I was asked if that bill was placed on your desk, would you sign it? I said, yes, I have, because I have initiated the conversation. We have jointly been working with legislators to consider the language, and that was the response that I had.
Governor, if I may follow up, members of the transgender community say those kind of bills are hurtful and send a signal that they're not accepted for who they are. Have you spoken to any members of the transgender community?
It doesn't say that, but it says that, it's a fairness issue, and we want to make sure that they can compete and have the same opportunities. Is there girl sports or is there not girl sports? And so I have said that I believe that this is a fairness issue, and this is one of the ways that we can address that. And if a bill gets to my desk, I will sign it.
Fairness to whom?
Girls.
I mean, to girls. I mean,
Yeah.
but what about the
Yeah,
fairness
yeah.
to the
These
people
girls-
who are being set aside here and not allowed to participate?
It is a fairness issue. We either have girls' sports or we don't. They have the right to compete, and they should have the right to qualify for scholarships, to be able to maybe, help pay for their higher education experience, and that's a part of the discussion. So they have a right to compete and to be entitled to scholarships, and they should be able to compete with girls.
Is there
That's
a
it.
specific case that brought this issue up of why you're pushing for it?
This is something that we've been talking about with legislators throughout the session, so. Because it's a fairness issue, that's why.
Governor, the $95 million for the
Yep.
schools, is that, people have asked if it's so specific that, could you not have just kept the money and then used it for the fall or whatever, if we're seeing these variants kind of cause a problem later? And as a second side there, is there any other federal money that you've declined or are returning that you haven't announced yet?
No. No, Dave, there is not. But there is money available for that. We have resources available right now. And there is a cost to managing that, but we have, I think I mentioned the amount of money that they're setting on right now. We have additional funds coming into the state with the ARP funding. In addition to that, FEMA continues to pay for more and more, 100% of the services. And we haven't to date had any school reach out to do the surveillance testing. So, and even when we proactively offered with the Iowa City High School, they declined it or didn't ask for it because they felt that they had the resources there. So it's not a resource problem. And at some point, we can't continue to just take this money. There is a cost to taxpayers. And the amount of money that is flowing into these states because of the bad decision that some of the other states have made is unconscionable. And, so at some point, you've got to just say enough is enough. And we have the resources. We have the Buy Next Now cards. We have the, Iowa testing. We have that available too. So there's plenty of resources there to address it.
Governor,
Okay.
in the, recently, the Des Moines Christian Schools auctioned off dinner at Terrace Hill with you and your husband. Before you agreed to participate in that, did you consult with legal counsel on the legality of that?
Yeah, there's no state dollars that go into that.
Right, but did you consult with regard to the legality of auctioning
Yeah.
off a dinner at Terrace Hill?
Yeah. This is something that's been done by governors for years, and it's a way for us to support organizations. We do it for the Heart Association, we do it for leukemia, we do it for multiple different groups. So
You obtained a legal opinion that said this is appropriate
we have
or
the
okay?
authority to do that.
I'm sorry?
We have the authority to do that.
According to who, though?
Thank you. Thank you.